Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video. Now I'm getting reports that the F1 24 beta test program is going very badly indeed. In fact, out of I think 52 testers at the moment, all 52 of them have said that the game is practically undriveable in its current form. Now, just a little caveat to that, I would like to say I used to be a beta tester on, I think it was 2016, 17, 18, 19, up until EA took over anyway. And I can say that when you get the beta test, it's a very early preview build version that you get. I mean, I remember the first one that I got, I think it was version 1.2, which is no way going to be the same as the release you get in the shops. They're probably already by now on about version 15 for the current F1 24 game. So yeah, that's not a good reflection of how bad the game is going to be, but it is a good starting block to how we think the game is going to be. And yes, it's not looking too good at all. Apparently the handling is absolutely deplorable. Now don't forget, of course, this was made by the same team that made F1 22 that everyone absolutely hated. And this is a thing I can't understand. I can't understand this two teams policy now. Everyone knows that F1 22 was not a good game, even surely Codemasters and EA. So I don't know why they persisted in still doing this two team format. And the thing that gets me is the handling. Okay, the handling on F1 23 wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad, I have to say. It was a vast improvement on 22. And so why doesn't the handling guy go between the two teams? At least then there'll be some sort of continuity in the handling department instead of what we've got now, which is every other year the handling's rubbish and every other year after that it's good, if that makes any sense. But yes, so I just don't get it. And why on earth do they need two teams, for God's sake? It's not like they improve the game so much and it's brilliant every year. They're still using the same ego engine that they had on F1 2015. Yes, anyone who wants to buy F1 24, it's still the same ego engine, no improvements whatsoever. No, just a few graphical touch-ups like they do every year, but apart from that, absolutely nothing. It's the same game engine. So those people who are just looking for that Unreal Engine 5, it's not happening. No, it's not happening. And as I say, it's still the same game, and that's why they can't do a new game engine. Yes, the PS4 version, there's going to be a PS4 version. That's the main reason why we don't get a new game engine, because they're still releasing it on the old generation of consoles. And basically the PS4 and the PS5 version, they're pretty much identical. The only thing that happens is when you put it into a PS5, it switches up into 4K, and that's it basically. Yeah. But I'm telling you, the PS4 version and the PS5 version are practically identical. In fact, if you could, which of course you can't, then you could play the PS5 version in the PS4. But of course, Codemasters won't reveal that and won't let you. But you could do, because all it does is downsize the resolution. That's all. But there's no other differences to the game whatsoever. Even if it's in 4K, it's still using that same wonderful ego engine that we loved from F1 2015. Oh yes, that was a great engine, that was. Oh God. So yes, it doesn't look too good for F1 24 right now. Hopefully things will improve. Well, of course things will improve, and the game will, launch a lot better. And a lot of people are saying, oh, I think it's going to be delayed now. It's going to be delayed. I don't think that's going to be possible because of all the money that they've taken in the pre-order scheme. They're going to have to release it on the day that they've said they're going to have to release it, which I think is the 31st of May. They've got no choice really, but they'll just do what they do every year, release it in a bad state and fix it with patches. So there'll be another 22 patches before the game's finally finished, which will be around October, and by then everyone would have got fed up with it and couldn't be bothered anyway. So yeah, it's great news for F1 24, and I just don't understand it. If anyone saw my video, it must be 3 or 4 years old now, when I said that EA taking over Codemasters or buying Codemasters was a really bad idea. Well, I think I've proved that it was a really bad idea. It really was, because ever since 2020, the games have just decreased every year in quality, and you've just got to blame EA. And I still can't understand this two-team policy. Now, of course, the other team works on Breaking Point, but I don't actually think the developers work on Breaking Point because, they're developers of games. They're not actually, people who make the CGI and stuff like that and the cheesy cutscenes. I'm sure they've probably got other people that do that, so they just concentrate on the game every other year. And then that leaves the F1 2024 people who don't seem to have a lot to do apart from do the game every year. Yes, they get the easy job because they don't have to do Breaking Point, which is a little bit strange. But it just smacks to me of the fact that they bought Evolution Studios back in the day, quite a few years ago now, and it's just basically to give them something to do. It's to give them something to do. So they go, oh, you have the F1 game every other year. It's employment, it's job, isn't it? So let's do that. But I just don't understand, and it completely destroys the continuity in these F1 games. If you have a different team doing it every other year, I don't understand the reasoning or the logic for it. And eventually, the public's going to cotton onto this and say, well, you know what? I'm just going to buy my F1 games now every other year. And then because I'll know that the handling will be a lot better than the one that's coming out this year. And that's what people are going to do. So basically, we are going to end up with an F1 game only every 2 years. I predict already, before it's even come out, that sales for F1 24 are going to be absolutely disastrous. Because already there's people on Twitter releasing, which they shouldn't be doing, by the way. That's why I haven't done it, but I'm not even a beta tester. So, but yeah, releasing, little videos about the beta testing and stills and what have you, and saying how bad it is. And, that is just going to destroy sales for the F1 game. Unfortunately, that's the way, it's word of mouth. Once word of mouth gets around, it's game over, unfortunately. And so it looks like for us F1 fans, once again, we're going to be having a disappointing year. Now, of course, they have promised us that the career mode has been revamped, but that's not going to be much good if the handling's rubbish, is it? I've seen some of the screenshots online. Apparently, someone was saying that it's possible to get your one of your front tyres up to about 65% wear after only just 6 laps on a 35% race. That seems quite possible to me if you've been, gunning it through the corners and going at full chat to get it up that high. But apparently there is this new tyre model for 2024 as well, which kind of tries to make it more simmy, but I don't know why, because the F1 games have never been simulations. They've tried for years to try and sort of convince us that they're erring on the side of sim, but it's just bullshit. Okay, the F1 games have never been simulation games. They never have been, because they can't make them simulations, because otherwise they will alienate pretty much 75% of the people who play the games. And that's just people who like to pick up the game with a controller and play it for fun. And, that's 75% of the people who buy these games. So, until that happens, until they go all, Ponzi and simulation and alienate all those people, which they're not going to do because, of course, those are potential sales, then it's never going to be a simulation game, ever. It's going to be always based primarily in sort of arcadey simulation, sort of, airing on sort of Need for Speed, sort of, for F1, which is basically what it is and what it's been for quite a few years. I mean, if you did have a proper simulation of F1, it would be a horrible game. It really would be a horrible game. Nobody would want to. It would be, like Richard Burns Rally, an absolutely brilliant game that everyone loved, but also hated in equal measure because it was so bloody difficult, because it was very true to life. And so everyone, sort of loved it and hated it in equal measure. And that would be the same with the F1 games as well. If Codemasters, I doubt that they would, but if they ever came out with a game which was pretty much 99% full simulation, it would be absolutely horrible. Horrible to drive, horrible to turn around the corners, and practically no one will buy it. So that would be the end of that for EA and Codemasters. But yeah, so the reports are not good at the moment. I've seen some screenshots of the new HUD, and unfortunately they have also gone back to the old system of the ERS back in 2018, which had more modes on it. If you remember, it had like 5 modes, where you had overtake mode and you had the medium mode and all that malarkey. They've gone back to that system, which I don't agree with whatsoever, because they simplified it on F1 2019 when you just had like the 3 modes. And now they're going back to a more complicated system. I didn't like the system in 2018 when you had 5 different modes. It was ridiculous. You spent most of your time concentrating on that mode instead of driving the bloody car, which was ridiculous. Because I can remember on the controller, I was literally looking down at the controller trying to sort out the ERS modes more than I was actually looking at the screen driving the bloody car. So yeah, that's not a good. That's a bit of a backward step. Apparently, the actual graphics interface, the HUD and everything, looks very poor, very poor. But as I reiterate, this is a very early pre-build model. I'll say probably about build 4 that the beta testers have been given, and already now they're probably on build 15 because the game comes out at the end of May. So yeah, it's not going to be long before it comes out. But will it get delayed? No, I'm bloody sure it won't get delayed whatsoever. It will come out. It'll be in a horrible state. And I'll say once again, they will just fix it with patches like they do every single year, because that's the only way they can do it. You know, it's just to fix it with patches. We'll have 22 patches for the game. Fantastic. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of it? Was this news surprising? It wasn't surprising to me. It wasn't surprising to me at all, because, you know, I sit here most times saying about how bad EA has been since they took over F1. They just don't care. They just don't care. And if you look on YouTube right now, just type in EA, you will get a complete history lesson of EA's past, present, and future. It reads like the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. It really does, because it's horrible. Horrible what EA have done. They just take over studios, run them to the ground, and then just dump them off. And that's what they've been doing for years and years and years. And that, unfortunately, is what I think is going to happen with the F1 games. I mean, if they continue on this reign, and they're going to get worse in terms of quality before they get any better. And I just think people are just going to have enough. I mean, unfortunately, also, this is coming on the back of a very dominant real-life season. As I've said before, real-life F1 does affect gaming as well, because if F1 in real life is getting boring, you really can't, you know, bring yourself to sort of sit down and play the game. It does affect it. It's, you know, a lot of people don't realise that, but it does affect it. If things are great in real life Formula 1, everyone's excited for it. I remember back in the day, you know, going back to like the 90s now, like F1 97, I'd sit there and watch a great race, and automatically, as soon as the race was over, I'd pick up my controller and start playing F1 97, because I was already pumped and excited for watching a race that was good, that I wanted to, you know, play some F1 myself. And so that does affect gaming, and of course people will just like, yeah, Max has won again, just can't be bothered, just no. So there you go. This is the sad news so far, that it looks like F1 24 is going to be another bad Formula 1 game. Not that there's been any good ones. The last good one was F1 2020, which was solely Codemasters, because EA hadn't bought Codemasters at all by the time 2020 came out. They had by the time 2021 had come out, but it was literally right at the late stages. And even 2021 had some sort of handling characteristics that I didn't like. It was starting to creep in there already. You know, the rot was starting to get in there. And then, of course, 2022 was an absolute disaster. I have actually just done a 100% race on F1 22 on medium traction, which I just couldn't do when I was doing my career mode. And I have to say, you can just about do it, but it's very, very tough, because the car wants to spin out at every single turn. So you have to really be, you know, liberal with the throttle and everything else. So you can do it. But everyone who knows that 22 was on a pad, it was absolutely horrible. But lots of people complained, you know, on a wheel, that it was bad as well. I remember Marcel Kiefer, the esports guy, said that, you know, he just couldn't play it on a steering wheel. He just said it was undrivable. And so, yeah, it was a terrible game all round. Then we had 23 last year, which was a significant improvement, has to be said. The handling was pretty decent. It still wants to break away from you. But once again, on medium traction on the controller, I have managed to tame it, and I can be pretty decent on it. So it's not too bad. But we will have to see what happens with F1 24. And I'm sorry to have to say this, but I am committed to F1 24. I have said that, but I will see what happens when it comes out. But F1 24 might be my last F1 game on this channel. I'm saying it now. It may be the last one. Hopefully it won't be, but it may be the last one, because I just can't keep, coming out here and playing a game where the quality is just getting worse and worse and worse every year. I just can't. I just can't. So it may be the last game. I say they've promised a complete revamp to the career mode, but I say that's not going to make much difference if the handling's rubbish. You can make as many tweaks as you like to a career mode. If you can't handle the car properly, then people aren't going to want to play the game. Simple as that. Anyway, that's enough waffling for me. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. You have been awesome as always. Let me know in the comments whether you thought this was a surprise. That F1 24 was not going to be good. Was it a surprise to you? No, of course not. But there you go. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll catch you in the next video.